There's an awful lot to get to, including the great Nigel Farage. I got a lot of emails towards the end of last year saying, come on, mate, you've got to talk longer to him. That's the plan in 2025. Even more, Nigel Farage, the only place you'll see him on Australian TV. The regular appearance is right here on Paul Murray Live. Well done to the cops in Victoria who found a way to stick it to the Victorian acting Premier right in front of him and disrupted his press conference today. We'll explain why in a moment or two's time. And we know what they hid this summer. Despite what they say about the economy, surprise, surprise, the reality is going to be very different. And I'll get to some of those details that they don't want you to know before we are done tonight. We've got a big one ahead. Now, we know the Prime Minister's in a world of pain and he thinks that somehow he's going to be able to spend his way out of trouble. The polls couldn't be clearer. That even in the Turnbull Times, The Guardian, over half of the people who answer their poll say that the country's on the wrong track and that the Prime Minister's disapproval is now in the territory where more people disapprove than approve. Meantime, Newspoll, of course, has rated this Prime Minister as the weakest leader in a decade. There's a lot of chat about Whitlam. Well, let's go back to Rudd Gillard Rudd. He's right back to as bad as that government was, and we all know how they copped it by going into minority in 2010 and then blasted out of government in 2013. So the Prime Minister has a plan, and that plan, of course, is to spend other people's money, otherwise known as, of course, your money. Another example of it today, third day in a row, major announcement, the excuse for a press conference. Of course, it's not just about the local announcement, which local media will pick up on. It's about an opportunity to pretend that's a reason why the Prime Minister needs to be out and about when really he wants to talk about the national issues or just bash away at Peter Dutton. His announcement today was to spend $5 million to help beautify the wonderful South Coast town in New South Wales, Nowra. Why this is exactly the best use of federal taxpayers' dollars, we'll all wait and see. But, oh, that's right, it's in a marginal seat that Labor could well lose because they only won it by about 375 votes last time, and that's when the tide was out on the Liberal Party. If presumably the tide is out on Labor, that Gilmore would be one of the first to fall. We know that there was billions of dollars that were announced yesterday, if you re-elect this government, to be spent on the NBN. And, of course, billions of dollars before that he could have already spent on the Bruce Highway. But no, there's a promise that if you re-elect him, finally I'll do what I haven't done for the past 3 years. But I've got to say, there's always something in each and every one of these announcements that just grinds my gears a little. Because as necessary as some big promises of government are, small amounts of money to just have an excuse to have a press conference is an example of money that I believe could be spent somewhere else. Because in the same way that there is a fire, and I choose that metaphor intentionally, when a fire is burning, you need to put it out. You can then spend money to rebuild or to prevent against another fire, but when people are in the middle of stress, they need emergency support. There are 3 million people who are this close to homelessness. I talk about them every night because they are our fellow Australians, the Australians whom should be receiving maximum support from governments, but they are receiving maximum support right now from charities. The idea that we have food lines in 2025, a quarter of the way into the 21st century, that are as bad as they have been in this century is a disgrace. A disgrace to a government that claims to care about cost of living, claims to care about poor people, but just assumes that somehow they will be able to scare them into voting for them rather than helping them after the next election.